Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy that you're here. I am trying something different. So if you're new here, hi, my name is Alexis. I'm currently writing draft 3 of my debut fantasy novel, which I refer to currently as Project Hourglass. I am a little over a third of the way through it as of right now. I'm looking at my word count. I'm at 36,000. I have 28 days left to finish draft 3. That's because I gave myself a 60-day deadline because I just did not want to lose my momentum out of draft 2. I don't want to drag my feet. I have a tendency of when I get in my head about things, I stall, and I did not want that to happen with this draft. I just wanted to keep the momentum going. So that's me if you're new to my channel. So what I was saying is I'm trying something different with my videos. Normally I sit down and I just have a chat with you, and I love that style. I used to have a podcast, so it feels very similar to that. But when I first started my YouTube channel, what I really enjoyed doing was more of like day in the life or week in the life of a writer. And granted, that is much more difficult to achieve now because I have a 2-year-old, I have a 7-year-old, and honestly, it just gets really chaotic. So I wanted to try and find some kind of middle ground where, maybe it's not just one video of me like sitting here talking to you, but maybe like updates along the way. I don't know how it's gonna go. We're gonna try it, but this is clip 1 of my new method, so to speak. But anyway, I wanted to hop on here because I opened my manuscript and I'm getting ready to write. It's nap time, my daughter's down, and I just finished listening to a few videos from another author's YouTube channel, and she's fantastic. Her name's Chris. She published the book Local Heavens. I actually have it right here. It's a Great Gatsby cyberpunk retelling. I actually haven't had a chance to crack this one open yet, but I really want to. But anyway, she has a YouTube channel as well, and if you're a writer, I think you would really enjoy her content. The videos I was listening to was one from a while ago where she was talking about like her writing process, which I found really eye-opening, as well as her updated video to that one where she says, her process has changed a little bit, and she goes through that. And I found that really encouraging because I feel like my writing style is sort of a blend of how she's done it throughout her writing career. And as a baby author, baby aspiring author, it's just nice to get that validation that like what I'm doing isn't so far out from what someone else might be doing. Obviously, we all have our own methods, and I think that's totally fine and great. Like, I don't need to copy anyone else to feel like I'm getting where I need to go. But it was nice listening to her, and even just listening to, her own struggles, like with perfectionism and wondering, imposter syndrome and that sort of thing. So that was really refreshing. I will either tag her account in the description or put, a card on the screen. I'm still learning all of the like things you can do on YouTube. So there's that. But like I said, I'm a little over a third of the way finished with Project Hourglass Draft 3. And as I said, I gave myself 60 days to finish this draft so I wouldn't drag my feet. It's been going really well. This week has been especially better than last week. Last week, I was just feeling really, I don't know if burnt out is the right word. Like, I do not feel burnt out on my project at all. But what I noticed last week, which was week 3, yes, last week was week 3, I just did not have the brain capacity to write at the level I needed to be writing at for this draft. My daily word count goal is 1,700 words. That's sort of how I broke it up so I could finish by my deadline. The previous weeks, I was often writing over 1,700 words, or at least hitting that minimum. And last week, there was one day where I wrote like 10 words and another day where I wrote 20 words, and I would open it up and I was just like, I literally don't know how to make my brain work to do this right now. But this week has been much better. I think honestly, I just needed a break. And, that's one of those things when you have a big project like this, or at least this is what I've found, is working on my manuscript, it takes a lot of energy. And when you also have to divide that energy amongst other things like kids or work or whatever the case may be, you can only sustain like a high level output for so long. And last week I was feeling really bad about the fact that I wasn't hitting my goal every single day. And then I sort of had to take a step back and remind myself that the whole reason I put the goal in place in the first place was to make sure I didn't drag my feet. Being tired, being too tired to write is not the same thing as stalling. You know, it's not the same thing as procrastinating because you're feeling insecure or having imposter syndrome or anything like that, which I've definitely done in the past, but that has not been the case for me this time. And I just think it's a good reminder for me, and hopefully for you, that it's okay to take breaks and it's okay to rest, and we should do those things. And it is not a sign of failure or, you know, laziness or anything like that. But I really struggle with not being productive when it comes to my projects. So I tend to put a heavy label on it when I don't accomplish those things. And I just don't think that's healthy, especially as someone, I would like to make a career out of writing. And when I try to see into the future, into a future where I make that happen, I know that there's just no way I could sustain it if I do not learn my limits and if I'm not willing to honor them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, but I'm about to take a pause. I'm going to write probably for about an hour. That way I can take advantage of my daughter's nap, and then I have to scoot and work on some Studio Lex stuff. For those who don't know, Studio Lex is my small business, and I have some orders that I need to fulfill. So I've got to kind of find some balance there, but I'm gonna set a timer and get started on that. So let's get this started. I'm gonna move you so that you can see my timer. Okay, so we're gonna set it for 1 hour. And, ew, I hate this sound. What is this? I don't know. I guess it's not gonna preview it for me. But here we go. Okay. Let's see how much I can get done. Okay, my timer just went off. Oh, it doesn't show you, but my timer went off and I was able to get 1,300 words written, which is really exciting. I've made really good progress on chapter 19. I can't believe I'm already on chapter 19. Right now, what's currently happening in my story is my main character, Eris, just arrived in Yenica, which is the southernmost port, the southernmost territory as well of this continent, which I call Payrain. And it's kind of wild because right now I'm at almost 40,000 words, and in draft 2, she arrived at this moment around like chapter 8. And it's wild because this whole time prior to this chapter, to them arriving in Yenica, hang on, I'm gonna adjust this a little bit. Prior to this, they were on a ship and she was traveling with this crew. And when I wrote draft 2, I just knew I was gonna have to come back. Like while I was writing, I was like, I'm gonna have to come back and add to these scenes. There needs to be more. And even now, writing draft 3, I feel like there might need to be more. I don't know yet. I don't know. But I just knew that it was missing the life that it needed to really feel like the impact of her time on this ship existed, I guess is the best way to say it. I didn't feel like I did it justice in draft 2, and that's okay. That's what I'm learning, is not everything has to come together the first time you're writing it, the second time you're writing it, or even the third time you're writing it. But I am closer this time, and what my point was, I'm on chapter 19. In draft 2, I was on chapter 8. So obviously I've accomplished my goal of adding more body to, you know, this part of my book to I guess, Act 1. I think this is probably the official start of Act 2, but I don't really think of my book in that way. I know that helps some writers. It doesn't really make a difference for me, I guess. But I'm really excited. I feel like, I don't know, this draft just feels so much better, for lack of a better way of describing it. It just feels like this one is closer to how my finished manuscript will be like when I'm ready to query it. I mean, it's not there yet. It's not, and that's okay. I don't feel bad about that, but it is nice to be able to look at this, look at the numbers, you know, read the story and say, okay, draft 2, I knew that I needed to fill in a lot of gaps, and I have accomplished that in draft 3. Will it need to be polished? Yes. Will there maybe need to be more? Yes. But that's okay because I have moved the needle forward that much more. You know, it's not like I'm having a repeat of draft 2. And that's the biggest thing for me, is with every draft, I just want to make sure that the story is growing and that it is maturing, and that, you know, you can tell with every draft that I'm growing and maturing as a writer. You know, I definitely struggle with being okay with the fact that this process takes a long time, in the sense that I feel like, I'm trying to think of how to describe this. I often feel like I should be better than I am, even though I only have so much experience under my belt, right? I don't feel bad about having many drafts, but I will get in my head sometimes where I'm like, oh man, like I wish draft 2 would have infused me with so much more mature author energy. And it did, but I don't know. I feel like I just have very high expectations of myself. And that's the balance I'm learning is, yes, grow and stretch yourself as a writer, and also be okay with being where you're at. You know, it's all part of the process. And once I get to draft 4, I know it's going to be even better. You know, it's like, in this moment, who am I trying to impress? And I think sometimes I get in the headspace of like, oh, I need to hurry up. But when I query this, when I pitch this to agents, I want to feel confident knowing that I did everything I could to make it the best book that it could be at that point, right? Like, obviously, I hope to work with an agent who has a more editorial style, so, you know, they can help me make it even better. And then obviously, you know, it'll go to submission, and hopefully an editor will pick it up and I'll work with them and yada yada. But before I take this to agents, I want to feel like I gave this everything that I have inside of me, and I didn't rush the process simply because, you know, I didn't want to have a draft 5, or I was just, I don't know, hurrying the process, or, you know, whatever the case may be. But I also, on the flip side of that, don't want to get to the point where I don't feel like it's ever ready, because, you know, it's never going to be perfect. And so anyway, obviously I'm not there yet. These are things that I don't really need to worry about, but it's thoughts that I have as I'm writing these drafts of my book. And so on a positive note, I'm just excited to see, just even in the sense of I have filled in the gaps and I've made progress in that way. Like, that's very encouraging, and I'm very excited. And I'm glad that I was able to get almost my entire daily word count written in an hour. Like, that is excellent. I'm really tempted to keep writing, even though I really need to jump into Studio Lex stuff. So what I might do is set like a 20-minute timer and see how much more I can get done. I probably won't record that. I just kind of want to focus, but yeah, I'm feeling really good with how this writing sprint session went. So yeah.